DeRusso with Majestic Rider. So today I want to talk to you about what you should do when your horse bucks or rears. Now hopefully you've trained your horse well enough that that doesn't happen much, but they're horses and it can definitely happen when things are in disarray. As I always mention, make sure you have a good foundation on your horse before you take it out, so hopefully these things won't happen. But many times when the horse goes to buck or rear, the people do the wrong thing and they make the situation worse. So the first thing you want to work on, if you haven't already, is your balance, to make sure you have good balance. Make sure you can walk your horse around, you can go with its motion, and you're not losing your balance all over the place. Make sure that you can take your feet out of the stirrups, you can find your stirrups. Take your feet out, find them again, and you can do that without looking. You saw I didn't look down at all. This is all about proprioception, which we were talking about the horse, being aware of your spatial surroundings and where your body is in relation to everything else, because you never know if you're going to lose your stirrups, and it's very helpful to get those back because you can push against them. If the horse rears up, which means it puts all its weight on its back end, and its front end gets light, and it comes up in the air like high-hole silver. The thing that people do wrong is they're not expecting it, they lose their balance, and when they lose their balance and the horse goes up in the air, they fall backwards, and they feel like they're tumbling backwards that way, and they pull on the rein to catch their balance. That's the very bad thing to do, because by doing that, the horse was rearing up and it had control of its own balance, but when you pulled on it, it lost its balance, and that's usually how they flip over. Or they rear up and they go so high, and then you just do something just a little bit and it flips over. Most of the time when horses rear up, when they're playing on their own, they don't fall over, but it's possible to happen. So it's much harder for the horse to rear up and keep its balance when you are on its back. When a horse goes to rear up, if you can catch it in the process of rearing, if it starts to go up and you can disengage its hindquarters and keep spinning it around, well, then it can't rear up because it can't plant its feet. The only way the horse can rear up is if it can plant those feet and put all that weight on it. So the first thing is just try to prevent it. If your horse starts acting up, see if you can spin it around. Now, sometimes you can't. You're on a single track and it's just bad, and your horse starts hopping up and down. If you can, push its hindquarter one way, push it the other way. It's like making it dance. Push it one way, then push it the other way, okay? And that will also help prevent your horse from getting all its weight on its back end. Not as well, but it'll still help. So that's why you want to make sure your horse knows how to move its shoulders and its hindquarters just from your legs. Now, when the horse rears up, what do you want to do? You want to get all your weight forward as much as you can so you don't pull that horse over. And whatever you do, you try not to pull on your reins as you're doing this. So you want to lean forward as far as you can. Hi, Sammy. And wrap your arms around its neck if possible, because that'll help keep your weight forward. He doesn't know what's going on here. By doing that, you're wrapping your arms around it, you won't pull on your reins for balance, okay? Because when you pull on the reins for balance and you pull one rein, that horse loses its balance, and that's how you see in the Westerns, they flip the horses over all the time. Just, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch a Western, see when the horse rears up and it flips over. Watch what the actor stuntman did, because that's what they do. They pull them, and then it flips the horse over, okay? So as it goes to rear up, you try to get your weight as far forward as you can. Now, it's hard when you have a horn here. So if possible, lean a little to the side and get around the horn and hold on. If you have an air vest like I do, these things can get caught on that horn. So it's good to put a very stretchy big shirt over this so it can still blow up. By having that shirt over the top of it, it won't catch on that horn like these buckles can. It's still possible, but less likely. So when the horse goes to rear up, you try to spin it around if you're early enough, but if it's already going up in the air, then it's too late. Don't do that. Just lean forward, grab their neck, hang on, and as soon as they come back down on the ground, then start spinning them around, and if it's a bad situation, then you could jump off after that, okay? And then get that horse back under control, get its mind back, and then get back on after, okay? So for rearing up, lean forward, okay? Now your legs are normally going to go back like this, okay? But as much as you can, you're trying to keep them here so you can stand in the stirrups and get that weight forward as much as you can. If they reared up and you can't get all that weight forward, as much as you can as they're rearing up, grab the mane as high as you can and pull on that and try to pull yourself forward. If you're too late for that, try to grab the mane up here. And if you're too late for that, try to grab the horn and push yourself forward, okay? So that's for rearing up. Now, where horses rear up for many different reasons. A lot of times it's because they want to go forward and you don't let them. Or all your friends take off, you hold them back, and that horse starts rearing up. They can rear up for many reasons, but it's usually that they want to go forward and you won't let them. So keep that in the back of your mind, that if you're not letting them go forward, you might want to start turning their hindquarters to help prevent the rear from coming, okay? So hopefully that'll help you know what to do when a horse is rearing up. Now, if a horse is bucking, which means it kicks out with its back end, or it's crow hopping, which means it goes like this, hopping down, the way they do that is they get their head down. So if you feel a hump coming in that horse's back, you know what it's trying to do. It's trying to either crow hop or buck. You want to try to get that horse's head up immediately. So how do you do that? To get their head up, you can yank with both reins. You can yank with one rein up towards the sky and lean back and put your feet forward. If that horse gets to bucking, again, it might have its head way down, and until you can get that head up, you're trying to stay on that horse. So you want to lean back as far as you can. As far as you can. You see the bronc riders, their head goes all the way back, right? So lean back as far as you can, because the farther back you are, the less likely you are to fall off. Shove your feet forward, push against those stirrups to push you back, and then try, as the horse is bucking, to get that horse's head up as much as you can. Once you get that horse's head up enough, you get control, you can spin it around, disengage its hindquarters, get its power away from them, give them something to do, and then get it back under control and get off working on the ground or, working under saddle after you do that, okay? Try never to put it back if possible. And if you get hurt and they have to put it back, have them tie it up for a while, a couple of hours, okay? So it's not rewarded for that bucking. So again, if they rear, you go forward. If they buck, you lean back. If they rear, don't pull on the reins until they until they come back down on their front end, and then you can turn them by pulling on one rein. If the horse starts bucking or crow hopping, you lean back as far as you can get, and then start pulling up on that rein, trying to get that horse's head up, okay? Now, another answer to these things is to get those horses going forward. If you make those horses go forward enough, usually they can't buck as bad and they can't rear. It works better with the rearing than the bucking, but you're still trying to get it to go forward or spin it around and get control. So again, say you feel your horse starting to rear up, start spinning it around. It rears up and you land, spin it around when its front feet come back down to the ground. If it starts bucking, you lean back, get its head up, and then spin it around and try to get yourself back under control. There's many different reasons why they do these things. The bucking is usually they're excited, or they're trying to get weight off their back, or they've been attacked by something like yellow jackets, and they're trying to get the yellow jackets off of them. It's just the problem is that you're on their back at the same time, so they're trying to get you off as well. The other thing, the horse can run faster when your weight's not up there. So if they're really scared, they have a problem, or their friends are taking off, the horses start to buck to get your weight off so they can actually catch up to their friends. So remember that, okay? Sometimes you have a bucking problem, but the bucking problem is really not the horse, it's the people that you're riding with. So you want to stay riding with people that are in control. Now, the only way you can get good at this, of course, is to ride rearing or bucking horses, but we don't want to do that. So every day you get on the horse, to make sure this is in your muscle memory and you react the right way if it ever happens to you, is you practice. You get on the horse while you're sitting here and your friends are getting ready for the ride, and you go like this. 1, 2, 3, and you just do it over and over again, 5 to 10 times. Then you go back. Now, this will be hard for some of you, okay? Because our bodies are not like they used to be, and they're a little bit broken and beat up if you've been a cowgirl all your life. So you can hold on the horn because you're just practicing the exercise right here. And even if they start bucking, you're losing your balance. Sure, you can grab the horn. That's why they call it the old shit horn, okay? Oh, shit. Grab it, put your feet out in front of you, lean back, and then try with the one hand to try to get that rein back up. And then once you get it, turn them and spin that horse around, okay? Now, there's many things horses can do, and bucking, rearing, and crow hopping is just some of those things. But you try to prevent it, know how to ride it out, and then never reward the horse when it does those things. But take in consideration why the horse was rearing or bucking. Was it your friends? Was it spooked? Were you pulling on it too much? Did you have the bit in backwards? Maybe the bridle was messed up and you put the curb chain in the horse's mouth. There's so many reasons that they can rear up. Sometimes you're hitting their teeth with the bit. You don't realize you made it too low, or somebody borrowed your bridle and you put it on and didn't double check it, and that's why the horse is rearing up. Okay? So if you pull, if everything was going fine and you pull on the reins, the horse starts rearing up. First thing you do is jump off because you don't want to be up there. Something's wrong. Jump off, check your equipment. Same thing if you're like the horse has started bucking for no reason at all. Get off, check your equipment. Many times people are riding with that back cinch and they don't know how it works. And they make it too loose or they make it too tight. If you make it too loose, that horse can hang a foot up in it. Okay? If you make it too tight, you turned it into a bucking strap. So when the horse feels that in the groin, they start bucking. That's why you see the straps on the bulls and the bucking horses, because they want them to buck. So if you have a back strap, you need to check it very carefully, make sure it's not too tight, not too loose, and then check it as you're riding, take a break and make sure that thing is still okay. You don't have to ride with a back cinch. The back cinch keeps the saddle down, helps a lot if you're doing really steep terrain and the saddle keeps going up and down. And it helps with the trotting horses because they're trotting, so you get that suspension. But with the gaited horses, we don't have that suspension, so you might not even need that back strap. The other things you can do is V-rig your saddle, and that will help to keep your saddle down, but you won't have a strap back there. So I never use one of those back straps. I just don't like them. I don't want anything to put me at more risk with the horse. But again, it's up to you, your preference, where you're riding. All right, so that's all about bucking and rearing and what you should do. And remember, practice. Practice is the key. Practice getting your stirrups on and off. Practice going forward and going back. And do it every day before you ride, so the day it happens, it won't really be such a big deal.